Let me show you some tips and tricks for OPPO Find X9, and a small disclaimer before I start. Most of these things can be actually found in some way, shape or form on other devices, including other devices that are not OPPO. However, I just think they are pretty cool, and I just think that you should know about them if you want to find out what you can actually do on your OPPO Find X9. So the first thing that we're gonna start with is the customization of folders. Over here we can, for example, press and hold our finger on the folder, and we have the enlarge option that allows us to make our folder 2x2, or we can shrink it back to 1x1. What you can also do is you can grab by this bottom right corner, and we can easily resize the folder like this. So we can also use the 2x1 space vertically or horizontally, and it looks like that instead. Besides that, if we actually use 2x2 space, and if you press and hold your finger, then over here we have couple of options, couple of sorting options of these folders, so we can mix things up and you can definitely organize your folders on the home screen in a pretty cool way. Another thing that is also quite cool is that you can do pretty much the same thing with apps, with single apps instead of folders. So in this case, if I press and hold my finger on the app, as you can see, I can grab it by the corner and I can extend it all the way to make it 2x1 size, once again horizontally and vertically. And you can notice these pluses. I can, for example, add something to these spaces over here. So I can, for example, add the search and voice search options like that. And I can have like a little shortcuts that allow me to access something with these apps, or I can just leave it as it is, so I can just have a really wide app icon like that, which can be quite fun for organizing purposes as well. And of course we can also extend it to 2x1 just like a folder, and in this case once again we can add these features, or we can just leave it as it is, so we have like a really huge app icon on the home screen. In order to access Control Center or Quick Settings, by default we need to swipe on the right side of the phone like this, and for a notification tray we have to swipe on the left side. However, you can combine these two things together. If you go to Quick Settings, we can tap on these three dots on the upper right corner and go to Customize Quick Settings, and you can switch to Classic View. And now if we swipe down, it doesn't matter if it's on the left or right side, we have part of Control Center or Quick Settings and also notifications, and then we can swipe further down in order to reveal the rest of Quick Settings. Of course, it looks slightly different. It is not really that up-to-date as it is with the standard style. But if you just prefer the quick settings to be synchronized or combined with notifications, then of course we can still do that. Of course, this phone has always on a display, and it also has lots of different customization options for always on the display. So if you go to settings and open home screen, lock screen and style, and then if you swipe up over here, you should be able to find always on display. When enabled, we have three modes. We have classic, seamless, and with the full screen. So this is quite interesting because it actually has a really nice effect. And however, in addition to that, if we go to display settings, then we have the display mode option in here, where we can have a scheduled always on display, so it can be, for example, disabled at night when you don't use your phone. Anyway, if you don't use full screen, we also have display items options as well, and we can also create some personalized AOD images or text in here as well. Of course, on the left side we have the snap key, and although it doesn't have as much of functionality opportunities as the button on iPhones, it is still pretty cool to get used to it, because we can still have like a shortcut to something. Over here, if we go to snap key settings, we can actually choose what should happen when we use the snap key. By default, we actually use it for the mind space, and it is actually really cool. We can press once in order to take the screenshot and send it into the mind space, and then of course the mind space will create an AI summary of that content, which can be quite helpful, for example, for scheduling, for gathering some information and keeping it short, and so on and so forth. We can also press and hold the finger in order to create a voice recording memo. So you can record yourself if you want to create like a quick voice memo or something, and you can also double press the button in order to jump to the mind space. But of course we can, like I said, use it to something else. Like for example, we can use it to switch between the ring mode, vibrate mode and silent mode. You can even use it to open the camera, and you can also choose which mode should be opened. We can use it for flashlight and so on and so forth. We can even use it for screen translation as well if we switch from text to screen over here. So it's up to you how you want to use it. I think the Mindspace is actually the best functionality, but I can also see this button being used for different other stuff, like for example for the sound and vibration. And of course we have to mention the Mindspace because it is also a pretty good way to create memos and manage the information that you gather on your phone. So let me quickly go to the Mindspace. Now over here, finally we have the Gemini combined with Mindspace. This is something that was missing so far for a couple of days, but now it seems that we actually have the integration of Gemini, which is really cool. So this is now even better because you can just use the Gemini and ask Gemini to find you some information in the Mindspace. Now you should be able to, if you like store some information about like new flights or tickets or plans or something that you may have stored in the Mindspace, and then you can use Gemini instead of going to the Mindspace directly. But yeah, over here we have some example memory save. These information, these things, these notes are actually called memories. Over here we have the AI summary, so we can find out what has been gathered by AI from the screen of here. And we even have a voice recording, of course, as well. So if you want to record yourself, you can do that. We have a transcription quite easily generated as well. I mean, it is just automatic, so so it's really good stuff. If you want to have a seamless synchronization with your computer, then you will be happy to know that we have an app that allows you to do so. If we go to settings and choose device connect, it can actually have a different name as well. It can be named, I think, cross-device connectivity or something like that. Nevertheless, if you go over here and choose PC, you should be able to connect with your computer if you install OPPO Connect on your computer. You just have to go to connect.oppo.com, and over here you can download the app for your computer. It is available for Windows and Mac OS. What is good about it is that we have pretty much access to the whole phone. We can open files and we can easily transfer files like this. We have the screencast option where we can cast the screen from our phone to our computer, and we also have remote control, so you can control your computer from your phone. And besides that, we have content sync, so you can choose what should be transferred between these two devices. For example, if I copy a text on my computer, I can also have it saved on a clipboard on my phone, and I believe it is also working the other way around. And for example, if I take a screenshot on my smartphone on OPPO Find X9, it is also sent to my computer immediately. Of course, we have a game Turbo on the OPPO Find X9. I believe it is actually called... Actually forgot how it's called. Okay, now I remember. It's called the Game Assistant. And we have a bunch of different tools that we can use it in order to make our gaming experience even better. But I think one of the best features of the Game Assistant is the quick startup that allows you to exit games and return to games in a rapid speed. So usually, when you open games, they really take quite a long time to open, but with quick startup you can pretty much open them immediately. On OPPO Find X9 we also have some tools that will improve the image as well. If we go to display and brightness, you should be able to find O1 Ultra Vision Engine section where we have image sharpener and the video color boost. In the control center, we can add the speaker cleaner that can be used in order to, get rid of water. And if you press it, then there will be like a loud noise. It is of course recommended to keep your phone where the speaker will be pointing downwards, and of course the volume should be as high as possible. You may already know that we have a feature that is called Lock Screen Magazine, or it is also known as Wallpaper Carousel, and it is a feature that allows the phone to change the lock screen wallpaper to random image every time you go to the lock screen. And I know that for some people this feature is quite annoying and they don't like the fact that the wallpaper changes every time they go to the lock screen. But what is quite cool is that, well, first let's go to the lock screen magazine. So open home screen, lock screen and style, swipe up over here and go to lock screen settings, and over here we have the lock screen magazine. So when you use this feature, you can actually make it more useful for yourself. Instead of having random images, what you can do instead is you can go to wallpaper carousel settings, and over here we can add our own images. So we can choose up to 50 images, and if you go to carousel mode, we can choose to only show these images. So instead of having random images, you can actually have wallpapers that are selected by yourself, and you can switch between them. So this is definitely a little bit better than just having like random images and wallpapers. Another thing that I want to show you in settings is in notifications and quick settings. Over here, if we scroll down and open more settings, you should be able to find smart notification hiding, which is a feature that allows the phone to hide the content of banner notifications that will be displayed at the top when the front camera detects someone other than you looking at the phone. So if you care about the privacy, then of course we can enable this option quite easily, but of course we need to scan our face data first, just like we do for the face recognition feature. Now in settings, we're gonna scroll all the way down and choose accessibility and convenience. Over here we should be able to find gestures and motions, and I could actually talk about everything in here that we have in these gestures and motions, but what I want to mention is a screen of gestures that allow you to draw shapes, different shapes on the screen when the screen is completely off in order to activate something. For example, we can draw O in order to open the camera, we can draw V in order to toggle the torch, we can also control music, and we can also add our own stuff to these three symbols. So you can, for example, open an app of your choice, or you can make a quick call to someone, or just unlock your phone. And besides that, another thing that is worth mentioning is this one. Lift to ear to answer calls. Of course, we need to allow the access to the contacts list. In this case, when you have incoming call, instead of answering or rejecting the call, if you actually want to answer the call, you can just put your phone close to your ear, and then the phone will automatically answer the call for you. In the accessibility and convenience, we can also find quick launch, which is an additional menu that can appear if you press and hold your finger when you use the fingerprint sensor to unlock your phone. So over here we can of course customize the menu, and let's say I want to be able to quickly open an app of my choice. Let's say I'm gonna use maybe calendar, why not? Let's add it over here. So now if I unlock my phone with the fingerprint sensor, if I press and hold my finger for long enough, as you can see now I can choose one of these apps that I have added. You cannot lift your finger until you actually select the app. If you lift your finger, then nothing will happen, but if you want to, you can quickly open an app, for example, or do something with the phone as long as you set up the menu. Once again, in accessibility and convenience, we can also find the outdoor mode that increases your internet speed, provides more accurate location services, and improves app stability. We can also add this option to the home screen, this app I mean, and we can also add a widget. Over here we have all of these options that can be toggled, so we can even enhance the call sound, which uses the clear voice option that reduces the background noise. We can still use the clear voice regardless of the outdoor mode, but this one of course can be separated over here. Of course, we can easily toggle a flashlight by, for example, using this button over here in the control center, but what you can also do is you can tap on the text itself in order to find the brightness. So we can adjust the brightness of our flashlight over here through control center. We also have a couple of different ways to share the power with other devices. You can actually charge other devices with your OPPO Find X9. For example, if we go to battery and scroll down to charging settings, over here we can find reverse wireless charging. So we can place another device that can be charged wirelessly on top of the back of your OPPO Find X9 in order to charge the other device. Of course, as long as you have more battery than what is indicated over here. And we also have a wired option as well. If you have a USB-C cable that you can connect to other device, then you can charge that other device as well. However, in some cases you will need to go to notifications, and there will be a notification about USB connection or something. You will have to select this option in order to actually choose that you want to charge other device. Once again, in accessibility and convenience, we can also find motion cues. So if you often experience motion sickness, and then you can use motion cues on your phone. You can turn it on, and this is supposed to help you with the motion sickness, because these dots actually move around as the phone shakes. So of course this adjusts to the movement in your car, and this dots will probably help you with the motion sickness. Last but not least, I also want to show you the Phone Manager app. Over here in this app we can also find a bunch of different tools that are pretty good to use, at least from time to time, like for example the optimization. We can get clean up storage suggestions, so the phone can suggest us what we can get rid of in order to get some space back. We even have the system boost over here and some other stuff as well. Of course you will see sometimes these prompts to add widgets and so on and so forth, and of course feel free to do so if you want to. We even have the virus scan over here. This is actually Avast. This virus scan is actually based on Avast. This seems to be like a collaboration. And in here we also have tools. We can tap on more in order to find even more stuff in here that can be used on this phone. So as you can see, the list is quite long. Some of these options can be found in settings as well, but some of them are actually not available over there in the settings. So even the internet speed test is available over here, so you can try that as well. So that's pretty much it. And if there is something more that I should have mentioned in this video that think is quite good to know about this phone, then of course you can let me know in the comments so that everyone can enjoy their OPPO Find X9 as much as possible. Thanks for watching, leave a like and subscribe.